The Viper. Have you ever called out the not very sophisticated ideas that people like Reza Aslan have about atheists? Ideas like that atheists are not a persecuted minority. Surveys show that a minority that most Americans wouldn't like to be president or marry a family member are atheists. Saying new atheists are as fundamentalists and complaining about atheists make public ads about their beliefs. Look, here's what I would say. There's no question that in certain parts of the world, like it's no secret that I'm not a fan of Richard Dawkins and Sam Harris and these guys. I think to the extent they're saying things that are true, they're relatively obvious. I don't see the strategic upshot of their arguments, and there's a ton of horrible foreign policy ideas and unintentional or intentional bigotry that slides through. But I know someone who grew up in a very fundamentalist way in a Muslim country, and he secretly read guys like Harris and Hitchens, and it played a big role in his intellectual and moral development. He's actually still a Muslim, but I get that. I respect that. I think you got to draw some distinctions. I mean, look, yes, according to public surveys, Americans are not big fans of atheists, but the reality is that a lot of people from atheistic backgrounds are very, very privileged by and large. If you do polls, you're going to find most of them are going to be white. They're going to have a certain level of income. So they might hold a belief. And incidentally, I should be really upfront. Yes, I have certain types of spirituality I practice, but I'm essentially agnostic. I'm not attached to this stuff. But yes, atheism may not be a popular idea per se, but most people espousing it are going to be in very socially comfortable positions. They're part of the elite. I mean, most of my friends are certainly atheists, and in their day-to-day life,
I don't call
that belief does not inhibit or hinder them in any way.
I am an atheist, but I'm not one of those people. I'm an atheist.
Right.
But persecution. We really need to look at that word and really your example of how atheists are persecuted is Americans don't want an atheist president. I mean, you be a Muslim and walk down the street and look and wear Muslim Islamic garb, and you get the shit kicked out of you. I mean, there's a big difference between the two types of persecution
you're not
we're talking about
if
here.
you go to see Sam Harris talk and you leave with a big self-satisfied smirk, because that's the other big fundamental problem here. It's not atheism per se. I don't have any problem at all with atheism. It's that, first of all of these arguments are very old. In the 18th century, there was a positivist movement. They said, look, we're going to reach a certain point of science and rationality, and it's going to replace all of the old superstitions, and it's going to solve all of our problems. First of all, it's not. There's nothing in that writing that's going to solve the environmental crisis. There's nothing in that writing that's going to solve the relationship between corporations and the state, figure out how we organize ourselves in the 21st century. And what it just ends up doing is it basically just says, look, in all of, in that clip yesterday, Sam Harris said Islam is the mother lode of bad ideas today. I look at the world today, and I certainly think that terrorism and religious extremism of every variety is a problem, but not on the magnitude, frankly, of global inequality or global warming. Certainly in the United States and Europe, austerity and those types of issues are much more significant threats to people in their day-to-day lives. That writing has no answers for that. And in fact, it indirectly aids these bad policies because you're off focusing and projecting overseas or in some imagined threat at home and not dealing with things that are frankly a lot more complicated. And again, even if you want to deal with fundamentalism, great. Deal with what is the strategic upshot of constantly saying to a group of people that you're backwards and barbarous? It's not empowering voices that Sam Harris claims to support, and it's not doing anything other than furthering alienation. And again, aiding policies that are dysfunctional, and that is the point. Focus on the policy, for God's sakes. For people who make such a point about only caring about worldly results and real things in the real world, they're awful hung up on religious texts and ideas.